Why didn't anybody tell me that I can make my avatar taller? I've been running around stubby for the past 2 years.
Lights, camera, action.
What up, everybody? My name's Impractical, and welcome back to Sonic Speed Simulator. Today, it's going to be one of my most highly requested videos and spreadsheets, which is the best auto run in Sonic Speed Sim. Now, I know a lot of you have been asking for this, but this took quite a while to make and edit, record, and test, so try to appreciate the process. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, starting with, I want to explain to you guys how I began to conduct this test, because it gets pretty difficult because there's too many things that can interfere with the results. I will let you guys know this. Number one, we started this testing off with a fresh account. Well, essentially fresh. What I mean by that is there is nothing to this account that could interfere with the test results. That being, no rebirth points were invested into any of the stats. On screen, I'm pretty sure you're going to be seeing it, but I'm showing you what are rebirth points. Essentially, you go level up your character, you reset their level, you get points. You use those points to level and raise their base stats. Those stats, meaning XP and rings, can interfere with the results of this test. The idea is to keep it as raw as possible and free to play as possible, because anything we add onto it, like pets, trails, game passes, can boost your earnings with these categories, so do keep that in mind. Number two, we try to make sure that there were no pets and trails, like I mentioned earlier, equipped. You can't have any pets and trails equipped at all, because those will add on to what you're gaining in auto run. Meaning is a lot of the quests in game actually affected this, because when I have nothing equipped on, if I complete a quest in auto run, the game will automatically equip those rewards, meaning pets and trails. If you're wondering what quest could have affected, well, mainly the quest that involved in Lost Valley collecting emerald pieces, that could have affected my test results. Amy's Crystal, her quest collecting those pieces, affected test results. New York City collecting scraps, that affected test results. Marine's first part of her quest collecting the chow fruit, that affected test results. Speed Jungle Zone collecting shurikens, and lastly, no place to the blooms. Yeah, a lot of things affected the results, so I had to make sure each of the quests in those locations were completely done before beginning the test, so that way nothing can interfere with it. I don't want no accidentally equipping rewards while during the run. Number three, like I said in number one, game passes. Game passes have a lot of effect to it. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to see it on screen, but the game pass listed that you can purchase can affect your results, meaning infinite magnet pass and also VIP pass, AFK champ. A lot of those can affect your results, so it's best to not have a count that has any of them. And lastly, skins. That's right, no skins, because a lot of 6-star skins can affect results, so we needed to make sure every skin was at star level 1. One thing I like to add before we get into the spreadsheet is that auto run was intended with running in mind. It wasn't made for hoverboards, it wasn't made with motorbikes or motorcycles in mind. It was only made for running. The fact that we can do it and still do it after, well, how long this game has been running for is pretty impressive, and says a lot that the developers are aware of what we're doing with this method, and it'll be more clear once I show the spreadsheets. So this is how the test was conducted. I did 1 hour of auto run. Why? Because 120 red star rings is what you gain in 1 hour, and that, and also the timer on my recording and on my phone, were the indicators for me when I hit the 1 hour mark. I try to make sure it's close as possible. The reason why I recorded 1 hour of footage of it is simple, because I wanted to get frame by frame so I can get the exact frame of when it hit 120 red star rings. So that way I have an accurate count for XP and rings. I repeated that across all three methods, which is again no mount, hoverboard, and motorbike, because I wanted complete accuracy for all results, making a grand total of 21 hours of footage. I repeated all of this 3 times each, making it a bigger total of 63 hours of footage. So yeah, it was a lot, but between my testing, I found out there were slight variations between the results. So little, in fact, there was only about 100 and 200 difference when it came to XP. And then for rings, it was more like about 50 to 100, or 50-ish, close enough to 100. So not that big of a difference. So I was able to ignore it, because the fact is the end results all became the same. I just want to disclose that so that way you guys have complete transparency on all this. As you can see, for no mounts in the hoverboard, the results are there. It's pretty interesting. This is where it gets more interesting when you start looking at the hoverboard. Compared to no mount and hoverboard, I did a formula calculation so that way they can show the difference, whether you're gaining or losing. Negative meaning is you lost compared to the no mount method, and green meaning you gain, meaning it is better than the no mount. So hoverboard right now is better for farming XP and rings in Green Hill Zone. Hoverboard is much better. Lost Valley, huge losses. Same goes for Emerald Hill, New York, Hilltop. Again, losses all around. Pretty crazy. But that's easy to explain, and it's what many of you have dealt with and reported in the game when you randomly get jutted off the trail for auto run and get stuck in a random location. All of you dealt with it, and on screen you're probably going to see my prime example, which is New York City. You're stuck, you're off, it makes sense. Again, it wasn't designed with hoverboards and the motorcycle in mind, but it happens. And that's the thing, this is where the losses come in because of you being jetted off the map. The interesting thing is what the developers added into the game to mitigate this or help the players with this slight issue. That being an update they introduced back in November. On screen, you're going to see the said update I am mentioning. So right here, I'm going to highlight it for all of you to read. Back in November 16 in 2024, they added this update where it shows auto run can now detect if the player gets stuck somehow. They know how we're getting stuck. We're not doing the intended method, but they're helping us out. And they reset us back on the path. Pretty neat. Love the update. Very sweet. And it's nice that they did this to help everybody out. On screen, you're going to see the footage. Even though we get resetted back to the path, we already collected those chaos orbs and rings on that section of the path. Meaning is we're just retreading the same steps until eventually those chaos orbs and rings respawn or refresh back on there for us to collect again. So that is why you deal with these huge losses, because things are missed. The second part I like to mention is Speed Jungle Zone. For some reason, we have a miss in rings. Even though I went through the footage, I wasn't picking up any of the rings. For some reason, it seems that on the hoverboard, we're slightly adjusted either to the left or to the right, but enough where we are not able to pick up the rings. Again, if you have a infinite magnet pass or any magnet childs, trails equipped, or characters with magnet, this is easily mitigated. You won't have a loss, well, except for New York, because that place is just terrible for the hoverboard. It's always lost. But like I said, this will be easily mitigated, but it will let you know there is a slight loss because of the fact you're not able to reach those rings for whatever reason. And then No Place being the grand winner because it's all gains just like Green Hill, except it's by a large amount. If we compare it, the 3 million of XP we get here to the 1 million and the 14 to the rings, well, honestly, Green Hill becomes better with the hoverboard for rings, but No Place is way better for XP. Moving on to the motorbike, I added the same formula, but again, showing the difference between no mount with the Green Hill, and then also showing the difference between the hoverboard and the motorcycle. So I want it to be clear so that way you guys can see the total results of everything. And as you can see, results do vary. For some reason on the bike, we do get jutted off. We do go back and reset. We're still able to speed through the map enough to get an XP gain, but we're still dealing with the loss of rings. Again, somehow not connecting and being able to pick it up, but at the same time also retreading when we get retreading the same steps or an area when we get resetted by that feature. So pretty crazy. But with the hoverboard, we deal with huge losses. So hoverboard being better on Green Hill than the motorbike is very clear. Hilltop is pretty interesting because again, it's just huge gains all around. You seem to be really consistent on Hilltop with the motorcycle, which was kind of surprising and pretty interesting. Now, if we go to Speed Jungle Zone, again, like I mentioned, for some reason, the way it's aligned when you're on the vehicle, it doesn't seem to match up with the trail, so you're missing the rings. But again, a lot of this is mitigated. If you equip something with magnet in it, you won't deal with that problem. Even the VIP pass gives you a magnet buff while on an auto. And then No Place, everyone's favorite map they want to talk about, and has some gain. Now, if you want me to be clear about this on what is the best with what, the largest gain you have here of XP in any zone, Speed Jungle. That's right, Speed Jungle is the #1 spot to farm XP. That's the highest amount of XP you can gain in the game when you have the motorbike equipped. Any other method will give you less, but the motorbike gives you a lot more in Speed Jungle Zone. For rings, mainly, the best place to get rings actually is here in Emerald Hill, because you're getting huge gains. In Emerald Hill, you get 21,000 rings flat. Again, no bonus, nothing applied, but flat. You get more here on foot than you do with the hoverboard, and then when you do with the motorcycle, motorbike, whatever you want to call it. But again, you get more with that area, where you can see there's a lot of losses experienced here if you use anything else. And I saved the best for last, which is the best map for Step XP. Now I'm going to let you guys answer that in the comments, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Congratulations, you're all wrong. Well, I know, pretty crazy. Let's just be clear about this, okay? We know that the only thing that can affect Step XP is fast friends. When your fast friends are maxed out, that's where you get the highest bonus possible for Step XP. The other factor is the number of pets you can equip. So a player who can only equip 3 pets versus the 5 with the Game Pass tends to not be able to gain as much as a pay-to-win player with that specific Game Pass for pets. There is nothing in the patch notes for any update that says any of these auto runs give you more Step XP versus another. So you guys are just getting hit with a placebo effect. And honestly, it's kind of crazy, but it's easy to explain why it feels that way. Now, initially, when I reported out to a lot of you that it only takes 4.5 days to max out a character to 6-star with 5 pets, fast friends being those pets, maxed out, a lot of you asked me the simple question: in practical, how are you not getting stuck in auto run? And I thought all of you were crazy. And to be honest, I've never seen that issue before at all. And anyway, but the more I started doing this, the more I started seeing it. And then I started looking into it, couldn't figure out why it happened, but I know it happens. And that's the key factor there. You getting stuck lowers the gains you get. We've seen that with the XP, we see it with the rings, and it makes sense for the Step XP. That is why a lot of you are not gaining as much as you can gain, because you're getting losses, because you're getting thrown off the map. Even with the update that they added back in November to reset you, you're still dealing with the loss, meaning is you're not getting the 6-star skin in 4.5 days if you have 5 pets maxed out. If you ask me which is the best map to farm Step XP, it's gonna be No Place. And for the sole purpose and reason, because it is the most consistent map in the game. Meaning is there is no loop-the-loops, there is no slopes, there's no dips, there's no hills, okay? There is no way for you to get stuck, at least that I have been able to find when I kept testing it out for 2 weeks. Compared to the other maps, I have 0 instances of getting stuck in No Place. And to me, that shows that it's the most consistent, especially when you're using the mounts to get more steps. No Place with the hoverboard is the best method for farming Step XP, just for the consistency, and that's about it. You don't get any more or less, you're just more consistent and have less issues of being thrown off the map. Now, as for why I'm not saying the motorcycle is the better version, I've already proved in it so many times, especially with my golden egg farm video. It's terrible. You lose steps over time. You're eventually losing steps. Some steps are not being counted, and if that builds up over time, it's going to take you about 5 to 6 days to max out a skin versus the 4.5 with the hoverboard. So again, I don't know how many times I have to prove it. I don't need to. I've seen it recommended a lot. If you're wondering why is everyone getting more limited than you, it's because they're doing it on their bare feet or with a hoverboard. They're not doing it with a motorcycle because you lose steps. So go figure. And that's it for this video. I hope this explains everything and clears up a lot of things for a lot of you. It was a trip, to be honest. This was the most hardest thing I had to figure out and get down right. There again, a lot of things to consider and a lot of factors that could ruin this test. So I don't plan to do this again. If they start changing things, somebody else is going to have to do it, because this is way too much to do for one person. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Tell me your thoughts about the results. Did you find it interesting? Were they what you expected, or were they unexpected? And how do you feel about my method? Do you think this is the best method to test this out, or do you think there could be something different I could have done? I would love the feedback. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.